us a lot about the Chinese region as well. So right now, Shib, Envy, and GenG is starting out.
Oh, we jumped right through. You can see the
band phase
already.
Yeah,
right through the band phase already. Likely when the pause went through. As you can see on the top right, the band. So that's a nice little addition here. You got Loki band here from GenG, Cap, Torch, and Mantis. You look over Torch, Luna, Adam. Getting rid of that res comp on both sides there, and Psylocke against Envy. So here we go. Off the rip, the tackle goes up here. Immediately, Xe finds one. Doesn't make value. It does force out that cooldown. We talked about the crystals going out there for the side of Brownie on GenG. Xe got to keep this space and just try to burn some of these walls. Remember, Wolverine can actually get charged off of attacking those walls. Kaluge, though, finds Xe. Make that two as Fun goes down. Kaluge turning this right back at him.
So that's crazy. They actually gave Speedily that storm that everybody's banned. We're actually going for stagger picks on the left side of the map, making sure Kaluge again.
Oh my goodness.
Chip finds those picks, and they're going all the way towards the spawn. They want to make sure they're sent all the way back. So close to the point. Envy with that first control definitely gives them a huge edge. Also, they're building up towards those ultimates for the upcoming fight.
Yeah, as we begin again, Envy with the point and collapse there. They're going to reset back. Honestly, this is, we talk about learning from the pros. Typically, teams try to hold up here tight in these tight chokes. It looks like they're electing to go back to point. As you can see, I talk about those off-angle high peaks here. Brownie on the high side going to start putting some pressure on, dealing some damage to the back line. 99 to ultimate. This ultimate can be very strong here for the side. Oh, wait, that's one value. Or Zune, sorry, excuse me. I thought this was Kaluge up here right now. But no, Brownie again on the off angle. Cal going to try to put pressure back on and shut that down. Whole team electing to stay together on the high side, not taking point yet. 50 on the clock.
Yeah, they're sort of rotating around the point. We usually see these combinations between that Magneto and the Phoenix, right? Talking about getting rid of those shields and slamming down with that Meteor M. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's something we see after all these strategist ultimates are popped. First pick potentially coming through with the marks off the backside, but the Loki crystals are there to block it until Brownie again finds one.
Endsong Inferno goes down. We see Xe with a pick there. Kaluge brings one back, but Brownie, Dotori, Fun are going to sweep the side of Envy. GenG going to now take the point, but 70% on the clock. This is potentially one fight territory unless teleport comes through. So this is a dangerous position to be in as we push towards Fight 3. Window, though, on the Groot. Happy to see Groot back in the playing field.
Yeah, the combo between Brownie and Xe coming through, right, making sure those eliminations can sort of happen with the Winter Soldier and stuff. So honestly, Envy maybe not expecting such a fast push by GenG there to combo those two ultimates. So great work by them.
Ult advantage here for the side of Envy just by one as we see a pick, but the pause goes out. Nice shot there early, right before the side of GenG.
Bro was AFK, Shibskis. He was AFK. My goodness. I mean, obviously we don't want to talk about it too much, but the fact that that's a big pick coming into this upcoming fight, and they already are 60% on the board. I mean, what a first round, first of all. Back and forth, Shib. I mean, what's your overall thoughts from that first beginning bit, right? Both teams like going Phoenix. We obviously sort of skipped past the ban phase. I mean, obviously, hopefully we get to watch that later on. But
yeah, we'll see it in future games.
Yeah, we saw that Cat ban come through, like you said. They got rid of the Mantis. So, and that's interesting. I bet a lot of people back at home are like, why are they banning Mantis, for example?
Yeah, yeah, that's true. So the Mantis ban. So this is a good walkthrough. Great transition here. Mantis is really strong. And honestly, Mantis saw a lot more play overseas when compared to American region because they love the damage boost compositions. They'll run things like Mantis and Cloak with the Terra Cloak, and they actually stack that damage boost. So if you can find value, you can even do things like when you use Mantis, and you discussed this with me in the green room, Venom. If you use the Mantis damage boost with Luna, you actually don't even need to use your tendrils to get a pick on the back line. Instead, you can just simply ult. It's much easier. You don't have to focus. You don't have to wait for cooldowns. It's very risky. Or it's not very risky, excuse me. So damage boost compositions, it makes your poke more pressuring. It makes it far more threatening as we see Phoenix in the game now. It's a big problem. So they elect to take that off the field. We're seeing a lot more Mantis play at this level of play.
Yeah, and they're looking at Speedary's computer, I imagine. So the curse of renaming yourself from Speedily to Speedery came through, man. He took his own PC down, so we'll see what that is and kind of figure that out behind the scenes as our referees take a look at it. And, overall, Ship, I mean, like, we saw the power of, well, first of all, land and stuff, but the cycles that people were talking about, right? The fact that we saw the combination of Phoenix, of Winter Soldier come through, even though there was strategist ultimates up. I mean, Month had the copy ready to go, but he couldn't even use it, man, because of Phoenix and Bucky. He just got one shot before he could even copy.
Yeah, it's coordination, right? Team play is so different than ladder. Everything is so picture perfect, and there's just no time to react, especially when you can use that Phoenix if you get back into the map here to break those things like the lamps or the shields right before you come in with Kraken Impact. Fun. Gonna be on that Doctor Strange on the off angle. Here we begin. Heavy ult advantage to the side of Envy. And we will proceed. 68% here for Envy, 39 for GenG. Cal gonna keep that pressure on the left side. Does have Ensong Inferno ready. Gonna look for some height, look for anyone to be out of position. Finds one on the off-angle. Brownie trying to play that off, and we're gonna start immediately here with the bond onto the point. That's gonna be an Ensong Inferno goes out. No major value, but it does get rid of shields. Dangerous position here for Window down low. Here comes an Inferno right back with damage boost. Doesn't find value, but does not. That's 2 ults out. There goes the Eye of Agamotto. Gets a ton. Do they get value off it? Fun, not able to do so. Great dance there. Speedery finds one. Window. Cal. Speedery again on the Zune. Beautiful play by Envy on the retake, and they will be climbing.
What a scrappy fight, but we saw the power of the Stratus Ultimates there, right? Nero coming out first, Month with the follow-up afterwards. Unfortunately for GenG, waiting still on Snake's Eternal Bond, but that should give them an edge for this upcoming fight. Meteor M for Kaluj on the opposite side will be able to shut that down, as well as Peel for Xe and his ultimate, but that is still 1 ult against 2. It's all gonna be on Kaluj here, or speedily on Cal, finding an opening pick with those damage boosts.
Yeah, Xe here with the Kraken impact is terrifying. You will have that Eternal Bond there for Snake as well. It's really about trying to clutch up and play smart here. You don't necessarily need a whole point. Just try to drop back and kite. We talk about kiting. It's essentially, think of it, oh, Cal was fine. Oh no! Brownie with the early pick. That's that neutral we were talking about. Cal goes down. Numbers in GenG's favor. Ults in GenG's favor. This is a dangerous position. We might see a TP back here at this point. Kalu's going to drop back and try to kite away. This is what we'll talk about kite in a minute. What that may mean. Xe finds Window though. Kraken impact. Looking for more. Going to reset off the clones. Now on to Kaluj. Kaluj goes down. Oh. Take this. Almost 3. Can he proceed? He is looking up in the sky to Speedery. We've got to retake. What? Xe goes down on the refight. What just happened?
Do they touch though, Ship? They got 15% of the board.
TP's
definitely
coming
gonna be
in.
close. TP's coming out from Kaluj, man. They're gonna have to touch with 90% of the board. Brownie's gonna be on the backside as well with his ultimate ready to go, but Nero has Soul Bond as well.
And the TP goes through roughly 10% if you want to be safe with your TP. Window finds Zune, and that is a huge start here for Envy up in numbers. Out goes Cal. Brownie turns it right back into Muntho, and the numbers are now on the side of Envy. Nero, Window on the fun, and that could do it here on map 1. That is gonna do it here on map 1. I don't think the portal comes through. It does. They're touching, they're holding. Kaluj finds Snake. Can we get here again? Speedery looking here with the Wolverine. Down goes another. That's gonna be the end of map 1 as Envy cleans it up.
What a portal play towards the end. I wonder if they even tried to go for the stun, man. The reason why I think that they lost towards the end in terms of GenG was because, unfortunately, Xe was going that deep towards the spawn, right? That was sort of the scary factor. They've lost Xe for that fight. They really could have used him, obviously, to help with the portal plays. Also, on the backside, Zune got kidnapped. You talk about the kidnap plays with me as well before this, you know, usually we watch. The fact that he got kidnapped by Kaluj was huge, right? If you're wondering what that is, basically the Doctor Strange portal comes through. They're looking for a target that's maybe back and forth on the point. They think, in terms of GenG, they thought they would be safe, just kind of going around the point. Unfortunately, you sort of default, right? You kind of go back and forth. And luckily for the side of Envy, and Kaluj with a phenomenal portal, they were able to pick off Zune, who had the Meteor M, man. So he was ready to go in that fight with that potential winning ultimate, but he got kidnapped, taken out by Envy early on.
Insane, you're right. I mean, it does obviously transition that ultimate to the next map there, but you're right. Portal plays, when it comes to kidnaps, are far easier on something like Convergence or Convoy, where you can predict where they're going to run, but on Domination, like you're saying, when they're going back and forth, very difficult to do, but when you're at that level of play and you can do something like Kaluj, just predicting that movement, finding that pick early, that was everything, and with that ultimate, absolutely invaluable. So here we go, Speedery on the high side here with the Wolverine.
And it's very interesting that he actually is pulling the Wolverine now. Neither team able to play Invisible Woman to counter the Wolverine like a lot of people think that you can sort of do. Also, Magneto can help with the bubbles, make sure that Wolverine is fully enabled. So that should be huge on this upcoming map. Maybe the other one a bit more open for Wolverine to really be played. You can see a hero-specific picks coming through based on round.
And if you didn't notice, you look at Brownie there on that off-angle high side. That has been consistent all game. Take that into ladder if you are a hit scan duelist. Know that that's impactful. Up we go with the Meteor M. Doesn't find the bond. Gets shielded. Eye of Agamotto goes out. Do we see Fun get a bit? Cal gonna turn it on to Brownie. Window with a 2-piece on a Snake and Zune. Followed up with a Meteor M. Beautiful team play again. They get point 1 early, and we know how strong that is on Domination.
Yeah, that was some clean movement on the opposite side from, I believe, was it Month to open it up, right? was Media Rem to counter it from Zune, but unfortunately for him, he kind of reacted a little bit too late, right? Month was able to kind of sneak through the back line, peek around the corner, and that's that counter that we talk about with that Media Rem, sort of able to take down Eternal Bond with the Cloak and Dagger. But luckily for the side of Envy, they have somebody like Month who can kind of hide around the corner, get in the right position, and avoid that one shot. So Zune had to refocus back onto the front line of Envy. Instead, in this fight, Envy has a big bank of ultimates, both duelist ultimates to combo that potentially, as well as Nero sitting on the Eternal Bomb. Meanwhile, for GenG, they only have their Eternal Bond as well, alongside their Brownie with the ultimate and XE as well. So they can also kind of find something here, but Envy does have the point control.
And here we go with the tackle. Cal is disgusting midair. Shuts that down quickly. Numbers up in their advantage, not even having to use too much. As Envy is in a dangerous position, back and forth. Out we go with another Eternal Bond. And does it land? Speedery gonna find Snake on the offside. Speedery looking really clean here on the wall. Fun gonna hold up there. And that should be another, they might be holding this for as long as possible. This is genius play, and that is team play in a nutshell. Tackle him back and not even finish. Oh my goodness, this is insane. This is brutal. Oh no, find a way out. Find a way out. Down goes Zune.
I thought Entangling Prison was an ultimate. I did not realize Entangling Prison was a passive. Yeah, that's crazy. That
Strangling Prison.
Strangling Prison. Oh yeah, on the backside of the point.
Yeah.
And regardless, for GenG, right, that was a brutal stagger. That's why you don't want to just AFK, right? If you are about to lose fight, you obviously want to reset, go back with your team. You don't want to just stand there and AFK because the other team's going to recognize that if they're smart and sort of counter it. No. Actually gets picked again, man. This has happened every fight. GenG losing more members of their team soon has to pop his ultimate to panic.
Yeah, I love. Oh, doesn't give out great crystals there by Loki. If you can shut down an ultimate with an ability like that, I can't talk about value enough right there. Cal gonna find Snake. Another early pick by Cal.
Jesus.
How many of those are we gonna find in a row on a very crucial teammate? Down goes another strategy. Something with Meteor Rem. And wow, Envy is looking insane right now. Speedery gonna try to find another pick. Down goes Fun. Numbers heavily in their advantage again with ults being out. There's nothing for GenG as Speedery finds Zune, and that is going to be a slow but sure win here for Envy. Unless his teleport is massive, you hold on with the strange teleport for as long as possible to make sure you get as many people back from their KOs. Window.
Wait, what?
Comes through XE onto Nero. Brownie onto Window. Caster curse myself. Cal finds Brownie again though. And that's another start here, but still down one number. Cal gonna be up in the sky with the ultimate, gonna burn some of those shields. A ton of damage goes out. Kaluge onto Snake though, and on Cal again on a Zune, even be down in numbers. Kaluge on a Fun onto XE, and that is it as Envy takes map 1.
Oh my goodness, and I think that's off the back of, it looked like Month to teleport away to the point, right? He was able to back and forth kind of avoid all that damage coming through, and because of his survivability, because he lived, he was able to keep Kaluge alive, and Speedery as well to find those picks from their backside of the point, even though they were down 2 from that portal play. But they lacked members, GenG did, and now map 1 goes to Envy in this best out of 3. They already put themselves on map point to go into the next round of play-ins.
Yeah, I mean, that was insanely clean, especially map 2. It looked lights out. Great teleport on map 1. I think that we talk about cutting through the noise, right? I can't imagine what the comms would have been when they, you lose that final fight, and in ladder you may have trouble. Ladder you may have trouble trying to come back in with that teleport. But here, they popped off and got it done, stayed calm, went in there about 90%, took it right back.
Yeah, that was such an interesting map 1, I think, because we haven't seen, or at least I haven't watched it because you guys watched MRC, and you got to see that map come through. And it's so much fun to see that the difference of opinion, right?
Sure.
In round-to-round basis, right? We saw that Storm come through map 1, and then round number 2, obviously we switched over to that Wolverine. Is it because of how close the corridors were on that second round compared to the first one?
Yeah, I think that heavily favors, there's a lot of there's escape routes too, where you can take height with Feral Leap with Wolverine to escape if you need to. There's bunny hopping with Wolverine. You may not have known that if you use your right click after Feral Leap. That's pretty good too for escape, especially on those angles. But I'm with you. I think Storm doesn't play as well on that map. There is a little bit of height you can cover around, but it's very tight. You play low ground, and
once you go out, you're kind of screwed,
exactly.
right? Yeah, that makes sense.
So yeah, it was a great call. Maps are heroes are very map dependent. Like they have strong maps, and I think that was a great decision as Wolverine looked insane there for the side of Speedery.
Absolutely. We saw like the heavy flanks as well committed from the side of Brownie and stuff, and Cal too. That's how he found those opening picks, I guess, because, I mean, if you notice as well, it's something hard to call out because there's so many things going on, right?
Sure.
12 players in a lobby. You notice how a lot of times the Phoenix player is getting the idol, right? That snowflake from Luna Snow to make sure that any little bit of healing that she gets to anybody else, that person with the snowflake gets that healing. So because of that, we see some really, really deep flanks from the side of Brownie and stuff. In other games and stuff, you would assume, okay, that idol, once you're out of LOS, once you're out of line of sight, you would assume from the Luna Snow that,
Sure.
okay, maybe it falls off. Maybe you wouldn't have that anymore. Not in Marvel Rivals. If you give somebody the snowflake, they can be off in Narnia, and they'll still hold on to it as long as you don't put it on somebody else. So a lot of times people will panic, right? They'll be like, okay, I'm going to move it into somebody else that's dying quicker, heal them up quickly. A lot of times at the highest level, they don't do that. They're so smart. They practice so much. They realize, okay, the optimal play is to give your Phoenix the snowflake and let them cook.
Yeah.
Right? And it's tough when you don't have a good Phoenix player who can pop off like Cal or Brownie.
Yeah.
But we saw really, really heavy flanks like we see in the early days of Marvel Rivals and MRC and stuff. It's sort of making its way back around with Phoenix because she has her own survivability with the self-heal that she has, with the fact that she can kind of dash back and forth and fly. Because Jean Grey, I mean, she has so many abilities that keeps her alive, and you need to also give her the snowflake so she can really take those heavy and deep angles.
Yeah, and the reset on Ultimate, right? You're right. A lot of escapability, a lot of movement cooldowns, and another hit scan added to the game. You talk about those off-angle flanks and how they're impactful. Luna being great. Things like Invis with that, that shield that you can pop up on somebody taking an off-angle gives you additional HP to play around while healing you at the same time. So those off-angle flanks are right back in it, like you talked about early season, because another hit scan is added to the game, which really does change meta up. Talk about maybe Flyers suffering a little bit, but you still see people like Speedery just dominating with Flyers. But as in a nutshell, adding another hit scan to the game definitely changes up meta.
Absolutely, it does. 100%. You're right, Shib. And let's just sort of to refocus back into person a little bit, because we are done with map number 1. We still have a little bit before map number 2 comes out when it's being selected. But man, can we just take a moment to just like the fact that we're even here? Like, just like look, the fact that we even have on the front here Marvel Rivals Ignite with the logo and stuff like that, with this clean desk,
and
man.
this behind us. Are you kidding me?
Oh my God! Like, I just want to kind of live in the moment for a second, Like, can we just like not talk for like 10 seconds?
I don't know that we can, but
we can't. Really? You don't want to just sit here and live in the moment for 5 seconds? How long could you be? How long could you stand still without talking on a live broadcast? Ready? 3, 2, 1.
Immediate loss. I think the problem with both of us is that we're both just, the ADHD boys. We just got to keep it chugging.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah,
dude,
we don't want to.
We have to say real quick, and one thing I want to call out, you talked about hit scan, and it made me think before I forget. Speaking of ADHD boys, that how many times did we see Cal get a pick off the beginning of every single fight?
I know, yeah. That kind of goes back to what we were talking about before. Is that what you're talking about with the like land nerves and stuff like that?
Yes.
And, well, Cal also got picked once too, right?
That's
Remember
true.
that on that flank? And, because I guess he was a little bit too far out in terms of the angle he took. But that's a good point.
That was a good shot, yeah.
I don't know. I mean, there's so many things that can impact the game in terms of what you want to do on stage and or in the game. And, obviously on the official live stage in China, in Guangzhou, those sort of things can definitely impact you, and you can sort of falter because of it.
Yeah, and if you get picked in the neutral, like we talked about earlier, way too much value. Especially at this level, they're going to capitalize on that. Like, it is their job because it is their job.
Yeah, and a lot of people are more nervous than you would think, right?
Sure.
It's obviously human nature. You're like, okay, these guys are robots. They're pro players who are just insane at the game.
Yeah.
And I'm sure a lot of people in the chat have super high opinions of them, but they're just humans. That's why we're watching. We're not watching hard bot. We're not watching hard Wolverine versus hard Groot. You know what I'm saying? We're seeing real players play on the stage that are competitive, but also they have feelings, they have emotions and stuff, and it can really mess with you losing map 1 and stuff. I've seen players and literally just run into walls on land. Like, they'll literally, because they're so nervous, because they're just like backing up and stuff. I don't want to say specific heroes and stuff or names, but I saw one dude when I played professionally in a different game, that he just ran into a wall for like 4 seconds, like an actual professional player. Turned his brain off for a second, he shut down.
It's in the moment.
In the moment. And that can 100% happen, especially since you talked about how early days this is right now for Marvel Rivals. We're less than a year into the official release of the game. So there's a lot of players that are here that we're not going to see ever again after the Ignite midseason. That's why it's such a big deal that they're here right now, because a lot of them are going to get replaced. A lot of roster mania is going to happen, and that's the tough business of being in esports, is that you're just always being looked at replaced, because you always want to get better as a team. Your general managers, your people in charge of these rosters are always looking at the next and up-and-coming talent, like we saw with Sentinels. Even this team that was storied, that won so many times, they literally replaced some of their best players in Hogs and in Gasklin, right? They replaced them with, and then we have Xe now coming through, and we have Crimzo stepping up in the lineup. So a lot of players are still being looked at as, sort of kind of coming up, right? And we saw with Techie XD and stuff, there's good players on ladder that are sitting at home watching this tournament and thinking, I could be better. And I wouldn't be surprised to see him.
No, I personally love that. I think we talked about Rivals, like, you have an opportunity to showcase what you can do, so why not do it, right? And that's a great example of getting it done and showing to everyone that you can, succeed. It doesn't matter what your background is or where you came from, or, how, if you've been on a team, if you have any experience, you get the experience here, you push forward, you get to one of these teams, and you showcase what you can do on a live stage. and you pop off. You talked about nerves on a live stage. I go back and think to myself when I'm climbing ladder, you're on that rank game, 99 out of 100, and you're there at the end, and you see your hand, and you're doing one of these, you know what I mean? And, like, you're just missing shots, and you're making bad decisions. Imagine that, folks, on 100% additional scale, being in front of everybody watching around the world, and then also being on a stage in front of a live audience. It is a ton to process, and it will result in mistakes.
No, absolutely, and that's why, I mean, we have so much respect for these pro players. Obviously, it's not like we don't have to reiterate it too much, obviously, but there's a lot of pressure, and it's so hard, right? Like, our job, I'm not going to say it's easy, but it's not compared
we're robots,
to we're robots. We're here. we could be replaced by AI anytime. It's like it's not. I mean,
let's not say that.
I'm just saying we're going to replace Shiv at the break, and he's going to be sitting here with the same suit. It's going to be a dummy sitting there, and
taller and more handsome too.
Tall and more handsome, probably. Yeah, just like me. I mean, if they could replace me with a dog, that'd be hilarious. We come back, we replace you with a ship or something like that. What would we replace you with?
It's got to be a Shiba at that point, right?
A Shiba, two dogs, just like one dog here, one dog there. They're just sitting there barking.
Oh, that hurts. It's too real.
It's too real. We could replace by anybody. The show dogs. I mean, those guys make way more money, are way more beautiful in general. By the way, if you're wondering, Shiv, now we're in Phil era, right? We're waiting for the next map.
Of course.
So obviously, if you're watching now, do what we do. I'm sure there's some people that hate it. They're like, who are these doofuses?
That's what we do. We are the shield. We're the vanguards.
We're the shield.
You know what I mean? We just soak damage. Hope our strategists keep us up.
I wish I had perma cooldowns. That's the problem.
I need to ask you though.
Okay.
What do you think? So this is something I need because you're a very strong player, top 500 player, really strong Psylocke. Has been pro, has been on a big stage, has a ton of this experience, right, folks? So you got to check him out if you haven't. But what do they do to change? What does GenG need to do to take this?
Man, it's tough. It's going to be a hard decision into the next map. I think you have to sort of obviously brush it off, right? I mean, first of all, it's domination, and I think a lot of pro players realize how hard it is to win domination consistently.
Yeah.
Like we said, you don't have a lot of time. I mean, you know, domination lobbies, they only last like, I don't know, 7 minutes sometimes.
Yeah.
Right, that series, even though the pauses were longer than the game itself, right? That's what can happen sometimes. Yeah. And in domination, you sort of just have to realize, okay, maybe it's not our map type. Maybe we go somewhere more consistent. It'll be easier, I think, in the upcoming maps where, you've played Yggdrasil Path. You've played on some of these other maps out where you can sort of get the vibe on the streets phase and all. And it makes more sense, I think, as a game. I'm not saying domination is a bad game mode. It's sort of, I don't know, it happens so much faster.
There's strengths. Strengths and weaknesses. There's teams that perform well in domination. We've seen in Ignite that have won domination consistently and then struggle on combo and convergence, and that can absolutely happen here. It's a very different game. We talked about comms and how crazy domination is because you're constantly setting up, if you have dive or if you're at poke on off angles, and then you're consistently also giving comms about the enemy team's positioning, and that is far more frequent than something on combo and convergence where it's very much a fight, retake, fight, retake, fight, retake after the point has given you some time to process.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I think that's the biggest thing. We'll see what GenG does in the upcoming map. And, I think we just chill out a little bit. We were waiting for this next round and next map. So
I have a question for you.
Okay.
What hero do you want to see that isn't maybe as popular today or this week?
Today or this week? I think I'm looking forward to. I don't want to leak it too much because I think it's going to kind of come through.
Leak it, all right. Curious.
Well, I mean, it's the people are talking about a hero that a lot of people that have in chat are like, "What are you talking about?" Before I say this, Jeff. Yeah, you knew it was coming.
I knew it was coming.
You knew it was coming. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that we could talk about when that does show up.
Sure.
I know that some of the other casters probably want to talk about it a little bit more, but we'll see it when it happens. And we'll wait for when that kind of comes through. But just look out for Jeff, and when that kind of comes through, Shib. Straight up, when we look at these, when you look at these notes in terms of damage numbers and everything, what is standing out to you at the current moment?
Kalush, obviously Vanguard guy, no bias here. 10 finals from Kalush, a ton of great right clicks there. For those who don't know, when you use that mag bubble, if it does get popped, it does immediately reset your right click. Make sure you click that prior, as we saw multiple back-to-back KOs there from Kalush. Great work. And then you got to look at Speedery, right? 10 finals. Yeah. Finals are very important. Damage is definitely important, but you typically want to find damage per 10 minutes, which is what we have talked about in the past. If you're pumping damage out and not getting any final hits, all you're really doing is charging up those strategies.
I'm trying to think. There was a player on, I think, was one of the Korean teams or the Chinese teams. I think he said in scrims, I think it was one of the duelist players. I don't want to call them out because I don't remember who exactly it was. It might have been Bobo from Nova, I believe, or somebody. They said they put him on Wolverine. He had like 4,000 damage over the course of an entire map, and they said, you are banned from playing Wolverine.
Self-banned.
Self-banned. They said, no more Wolverine for you, buddy. You cannot play this hero. But sometimes it happens. Sometimes you have bad maps. Sometimes you're trying to figure out the vibe. And that's why it was interesting, I think, to me, Shib. I don't know if you noticed it. Exi is known for as a hit scan guy. It's very interesting to see him kind of pick up in the hero. But we got our MVP, I believe. Is this what we got here?
Sure, yeah.
I mean, on Loki, obviously, I think this is a good MVP. Right?
Yeah, I agree.
We saw that last round.
Yep.
I mean, he saved it by teleporting onto the high ground, getting away from the damage. I mean, he was so evasive. And as a strategist, I think Month is one of the best Lokis and strategists in the game.
Yeah, you don't want to use that cooldown, right? You don't want to use that, and that's exactly why. Small things like that are super impactful. Being able to teleport up, saving crystals. We saw him shut down Meteor M a few times.
Yep.
Which, if you were able to use an ability to stop an ultimate, it's just massive. As we get into some replays here, Speedery going to start off there on the Storm. The damage boost from Storm, another one of those damage boost sources we didn't really reference that isn't used as consistently. Honestly, Speedery, one of the very few folks that is still using. Oh, wow, here. This is, I thought this was the follow-up, but Dotori and Brownie cleaned those up. Fun as well. This was a great retake here by GenG on their first fight, or the first retake. Month gonna fall there as well. So this is just beautiful play, man.
Absolutely, and this is the interesting factor, I think, when we watch both of these teams, the difference of opinion. We see Speedery on the Storm on round number 1. Usually I don't think a lot of teams value Storm as much as Enter,
sure,
right? Because you talked about how good he is at Flyers, meanwhile also playing that Wolverine. But I think this team prioritizes, at least in North America, Storm a lot more than other regions will.
Yeah.
I imagine we might see some later, but even one of the best Storm players in Sentinels with Amazing, they don't even like Storm that much. So specifically, Envy loves to play that hero. They love Storm. I want to see the other regions, as we learn later on, see what their priority is. We saw GenG played a lot of the Bucky instead of that Wolverine on round number 1 to potentially deal with Speedery in the sky. But, I mean, there's a lot of interesting things we'll see in terms of specific heroes played, even if they're more unique.
Yeah, Bucky has been retaking, priority in these maps, and it's not only just because of that ultimate. Kraken Impact, incredibly impactful, has taken a recent hit in terms of your damage threshold that you can get that KO, but still very strong. You get a second usage of that orb, which can knock flyers out of the sky, but not necessarily the main usage for it. When we find Bucky players, for the most part now, are trying to play more of essentially like a bruiser. You want to consistently be using those abilities, getting that over health, and using that to your advantage in every 1v1 that you take. So you're almost pumping abilities out off cooldown.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of nuance to it for sure in that map number 1 that we saw, I think, with these two teams. And Shib, is there any? You asked me the question, but what do you think? What hero are you excited to potentially see in the upcoming days? Is it going to be a lot of those Emma players, or what do you think?
Yeah, see, I mean, obviously I'm an Emma player, so I would love to see Emma, but I know that's coming. For me, which I think is more of a long shot, I would like to see Johnny Storm pick up the thing and throw him into the back line. That's just if I see it once, check, I'm good. You know what I mean? Well, I can rest, like Thanos.
We heard that that Johnny, that Human Torch, is a hero that it's like a permaban.
Yeah,
right? Much. And there's some teams that maybe you can avoid permabanning, right? We talked about how a team like maybe even with 100 Thieves later on, they're still figuring out how to play that Torch. They have really good players, really good talent, and they can sort of play that hero. But not everybody can play Torch to the level of like somebody like Speedery, some of these other Torch players in the entire world. I think that was the only potential weakness as the North American casters, and I don't want to be too critical, obviously, because I know some of the players are probably listening. There's a lot of fantastic players out there, but the biggest weakness, I think, for the American region was we only really have like one absolutely amazing Torch player, and that probably is Speedery. Like, I don't want to, like, obviously say he's like the GOAT. Obviously, we're amazing, super good at Torch.
We're still learning that, yeah.
But there was a lot of good Torch players back in North America that didn't make it to the tournament, right? Yeah. And that was the biggest thing. I feel like we've lost potentially some of the really good Torch players over here, and I wonder if the other regions are maybe going to be looking at that. Are they going to be forcing some teams over to play the Torch? Even if Torch is really strong, not everybody can play Torch to the level that you sort of hard carry on that hero. Yeah. And I think that we might see some people leaving it open against certain teams. That's what we talked about when we watched North America, that a lot of the good Torch teams are now gone.
Yeah, I mean, the skill ceiling for Torch is insane, and we'll talk about that in a second as we look down. Yggdrasil Path, my personal favorite map. Love this map so much here on Convoy. Should be fun to watch. As we do see, GenG is going to be attacking off the rip. Me personally, I like attacking initially too. It feels like your defensive line, your strategy changes once you know the max of where you need to hold that, right? You may force a fight earlier, you may use a teleport. That small advantage is enough.
Absolutely, it is for sure. And as somebody that maybe has made a few too many alternate accounts, that's what we'll call them. Don't want to get banned, obviously. No bussing here. No bussing.
Yeah, different
yeah, and obviously smurfing is terrible. Don't smurf, by the way. But when if I was on an alternate account or something like that, I like to go on attack 2 because you can sort of dictate how fast it goes, right? If you play defense first, you think about it like a speed run. Yeah. 4-minute hold. You could maybe get it done in 3 minutes or less, right?
Touché.
So maybe speed run it like like Otter, right? It turns into a sort of game in that regard. I think it's lame though. I'm done making alternate accounts, Shib. I'm calling it quits here for that sort of thing.
Absolutely respect that. So we are going to see a sub here. Choppa is going to be going in for Fun. Honestly,
really?
we saw Fun make some plays. Didn't get a ton of value with ultimates is, I think, the major problem there.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that is. I'm excited to see it personally.
Choppa's a duelist player, right?
Yeah, I believe so. So, we don't know what they've been working on. Or they're going to run. We talked about how
triple duelist. Yeah, with the Wolverine and stuff.
They could.
But what do you do if you get banned out? If you swap in a player in this game, don't the other team realize that? Maybe try to ban against it?
So that's something that is, there's a lot of secrecy and there's a lot of strategy, right? So maybe they have never used this in scrims, but they were confident in the past, or maybe scrimming teams from their regions and not having them to have that discussion. We'll have to see.
I mean, to throw it back, not like that, not throwing it back like that. But when we talk about, teams in North America, we saw like Solaris in the upper bracket. I know a lot of Solaris fans probably watching right now. A lot of those guys. They probably hate me. They're like typing in chat, who's this dumbass over here? But regardless, Solaris is a great team, right? Yeah. In all seriousness, they were awesome. Speaking of which, Guru is here from Team Solaris, and I'm sure Gale is watching and all of those guys, maybe Moxie. And they tried to play this triple duelist composition with the Wolverine, with Guru and stuff like that on it, and it can work. It is just somewhat very hard to do sometimes because you need to be perfect with it. It feels very hard to execute a triple duelist composition. Yeah, I think you need to pull something out along the lines of the Wolverine, a pseudo tank, if you will. Wolverine has that iframe additional HP when getting knocked, and it does go on cooldown, but it allows you to play more aggressive. If you do have something like Magneto with a bubble, making them a little more beefy, it's definitely possible. And that's the thing about how we're still in the infancy of this game. There are teams that are still coming up with strategies that we have yet to see, whether it's just in our region or as a whole in the game. And with patch notes consistently coming in, changing the way heroes play, which I personally think is a great way to keep things fresh. I think it changes meta. I cannot speak highly enough about how quickly these I don't think a single game in my life has had such care for patch. So a big shout out to the devs. These guys do not sleep. So we might see them. Yeah. We might see them later. They might come out. Cool. Yep, they might come out exhausted because of how much they've been working on these patch notes. They're still as they come on stage, they're still like, okay, we need to adjust this, we need to change this. But we'll see that later. I don't know if we've fully talked about what's potentially coming up in terms of a show match. I mean, that might be a little bit of leaks, but I mean, it's gonna be so much fun, and I'm curious to see how this sort of kind of comes to fruition here. That is definitely on the table, but I'm just curious. That's what I'm saying. So I'm excited to see if there's something I maybe haven't thought of. Maybe Thing damage reduces Wolverine, and that'd be crazy if it was a Thing solo tank, or Solar Vanguard, excuse me. But there's things that these teams have been working on at the very top level. It is very difficult to find out what the capabilities of different builds and team comps are until you are on a very structured professional team, because that's where you can test limits. It is so difficult to test limits in ladder or with friends. That's what I tell myself that's what I tell my friends when I'm dying on Psylocke. I have 12 deaths. Limit testing. You're just limit testing. Of course, right? Absolutely. Testing things out. Just kiddo left and right. You know what I mean? Constantly get knocked. It is what it is. Sometimes we feed it. Burning cooldowns. Yeah, that's what it was. Chip, out of our duo when we play ranked, who's the weaker link, you think? Me. Are you sure? Because you're a pro player. Absolutely. Are you sure about that? Couldn't be more sure. I don't know about that. We'll see. We'll see. I love the gas. I'm going to be honest. I get blamed, I'll tell you what, for some of our losses. Yeah, that's it's you're either blaming strategist or my duelist didn't get the job done. It's that simple. Yeah, it really is. I'm just clean at all times. I love that, though. We play together sometimes. You don't want to, obviously be, blaming people. That's why I was I hate queuing with people sometimes because I'm like, damn, what do you do? I don't want to ruin the vibes. Well, that's you. Me and you are past that point. You can roast me all you want. I can get you right back. That's true. That's why every time I'm like, Ship, stop dying. And he's just like, oh, wait, I have none. I have no KO. I got KO 0 times. What are you talking about? Yeah, we're talking about that. But no, penta. No, we love playing together, and so I imagine do these players on stage right now after winning. Because winning solves everything. Look at the smile. You can just see the raw aura. Just knows that this is in their hands. This is their game to lose. GenG going to be a little bit on their heels, but this will be their map. Oh yeah, absolutely. We have to wait and see on Idrisil Path kind of how things come out. And man, how is it, by the way, for your first time seeing these Korean teams. What's your biggest takeaway? I'm curious on GenG. I don't know how much you've thought about it, but in terms of GenG and their supposed #1 seeding, now coming out having a tough game versus Envy, who are also the alleged #1 team out of North America, even though they're in the play-ins today.
Yeah, it's so funny to say that, but
crazy.
It does feel. Yeah, it is funny to say they're in the play-ins, both teams being teams that were predicted to take home Stage 1 Ignite, which I'm already excited for more of this. Give me Stage 2. Give me more of these events. These are so fun to be a part of
it's
and
a shame.
to watch.
It's a shame that we're only going to have 2 the whole year.
Yeah, give me 1,000. You know what I mean? I'll do it every weekend.
Every weekend,
just don't tell my wife. I'll just I'll sneak out and do these and then come back home.
So,
speaking of these teams, I mean, watching them play. I mean, watching their just raw accuracy, their decision making and talent. Granted, it's tough to have that conversation after a loss here by Envy, but now we've got map advantage on their side. We may see some strategies.
Okay.
Their thought processes, getting cerebral, seeing what they're going to do to change stuff up.
So what was their strength? What was GenG's strength in that last map? You think like they came out swinging when they comboed duelist ults, for example? Is that sort of the reason?
Yeah, I mean, we saw some. That was beautiful. Yeah, we saw that combination. I mean, it was frame perfect. There was no reaction time, and I think.
But what happened after that, right? They stopped doing. They just were not able to sync up. You think it's land nerves?
See, it may have been the utilization of 2 ultimates, and then only finding 1 KO, and then going into the next fight. Where it was funny because
it was
I don't think Envy Envy didn't even really commit too much in retort after
That's a good point.
They essentially just were like, I'm just going to win this fight, and they managed to pull it out. So I can't even speak to that. I don't know how that happened, but
actually, I'm just going to win.
Yeah.
Actually, I just win these. So
for sure.
You're right. That's a good point, Shiv. And coming on through. Wow, we get some nice close-ups, dude. Hey, from Choppa.
Is that Luna? Yeah.
Dude, it was, I think. Yeah, he's DJing.
I love it. That is awesome.
He is doing some fan service, man. Yeah, the crowd loves it as well, I'm sure. Everybody loves Choppa. He's a great guy. So coming into it, they still have to. That's the thing I noticed about the ban phase, by the way. We were watching these pro players in their rooms, by the way. We're going into the ban phase right now. I'm not sure if we want to talk about it too much, but on the opposite side, we'll see the bans when they come through. But at the current moment, it looks like Mantis, Torch, Captain America are banned for GenG. On the opposite side, for Team Envy, they are banning out Torch, Psylocke, Mantis as well. So prioritization of those heroes, making sure that they are forced onto certain things, right? Making sure that, again, focusing towards specifically Speedily and having Psylocke and Torch banned is definitely a focus on his hero pool. We've seen this in North America as well, but the ban of Mantis came through on and Magneto. We'll see it when it comes up, obviously, but just kind of interesting that the ban phase is kind of happening right now, and we're going to go into Sage, and you guys are going to see it immediately right off the rip.
I do like how it does show it now on the top. That is definitely
cool.
Awesome, yeah. It's cool to consistently know, like, oh, why didn't they make this decision if you maybe forgot what the bans might have been? But I am excited. They are going to be, looks like they're locking in, I think we see a lock-in of Strange here, which is definitely unique. That's a Kaluge lock-in if I've ever seen one.
Yep. That was probably something that maybe GenG were looking at, getting rid of the Phoenix as well. So there's a lot of, or that's on the side of GenG rather. So we'll see kind of what happens when they come in, but the biggest thing that I've noticed so far, and we've seen in practice and stuff, is that, like we said, when we come in and we watch the players during the ban phase, they just kind of vibe and do nothing, right? Because it's usually like 1 guy or 2 guys in charge of the ban phase.
Sure.
Everybody else is kind of locked in, ready to go and play the game,
or the coach, right?
Yeah, or the coach, because you want to take off as much pressure of those players as much as possible, because we saw teams like Team Sentinels. Their coach is a player in Crimzo.
That's so cool.
I mean, Crimzo, he must have immense stress, for sure, on his shoulders. So it's about alleviating some of that pressure, a lot of that stress off of your guys. And it's interesting that I think Luna Snow, for like across the board, has been a priority of everybody in terms of Protect.
Yeah. I mean, Luna Snow, you already talked about Crystal right on the off angle, but the ultimate being incredibly impactful. The hit scan damage, raw damage output is not only, and healing, right? Like it's wild. And the clap, right? If you use the clapping ability and you call that out for your team, fully commit. It is penetrating through the squad. It heals everybody, keeps everybody hyper aggro. It is the way to play. So make sure you're calling that out when you're using that ability as a Luna Snowman as we get into the game here.
We will get in a moment as well as everybody's sort of coming through. We're going to the ban phase now. I might have spoiled it. Oh my goodness.
We'll run it back.
Well, I completely forgot actually what happened, guys, as everybody is sort of locking in Envy rather was getting rid of the Mantis as we have the first bans come through. This is the first time we get to see something like this.
Beautiful, yeah.
Yeah, so Human Torch banned on the side of GenG, and then they protected Luna Snow. I feel so bad. I literally just leaked the entire ban phase. We weren't supposed to see it. I will look away next time.
No, it's good.
But yeah, so Human Torch getting rid of as well for the side of Envy, and everybody talks about how good that character is.
Yeah, I mean, we could discuss that again, but honestly, I just got to say again, getting rid of Mantis, right? Smart play. There's a lot of triple strategists being run, or excuse me, you're running Guardians composition. That triple res is insane. Teams are at this level of play finding the most value. You don't need the highest stat lines, and we can talk all day about how stat lines are, you know, you don't worry about it. Don't trust stat lines, because we've seen Guardians comps that are almost negative in stat lines still taking wins, because those picks are negated immediately. They retake a fight, they find value, and it costs them getting KO'd a couple times, but it doesn't matter as long as you get the point or whatever you're trying to achieve.
Absolutely. Kalush trying to hide away from the lights on the back. That's funny. Trying to keep his vision safe. And I mean, it's always going to be bright on the stage. That's why they call it the bright lights, right? On the main stage competing. And now we get to see the entire band phase come through. Next time, Shiv, I will not be looking at that early. So
we're all learning together, brother.
We're all learning together here. And, you know, like the prioritization of Luna Snow came through, and both Vanguards, like you said, the Doctor Strange for Team Envy protected, Magneto keeping theirs as well. Mantis, like we said, that is interesting. That character has been so strong at this event. I figured it was like maybe overestimated or overstated by us, maybe talking about how strong Mantis was before, but now we're actually seeing the power of that damage boost and stuff, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I do think it's slept on by our region. I mean, there's teams like Sentinels that run it really well. Honestly, a lot of the teams are not afraid to run it, but I do think Mantis in general is a little bit slept on. They're electing to ban Mantis over Warlock, which may have been different in the past. As we start off here, immediately into the action, we go. Oh, do I? Yes, there is triple Vanguard. I told you we are going to see some unique stuff here. The hold from the side of Envy running triple. They have done this in the past. He's going to play on the high side now. Brownie going to be playing Psylocke, looking towards the left, putting a ton of damage on a Cal, who's on cap. I don't think we've ever seen that. Was playing Magneto last time, but Mag might have, no, was not banned out. No, excuse me, it was banned out. GenG, you'll see the bans actually from the opposition above. Choppa trying to get some damage. We do see the Moon Knight just to try to counter up here the beginning of this battle. Take the space back with raw damage. Moon Knight does that very well. Cal trying to chase here again onto Brownie. Brownie getting stuck. Almost going to pay for it as Cal's keeping that pressure up. Ultron from Speedery out on Snake. Down goes Snake and Choppa. And this triple hold is looking clean as Window gets another.
Yeah, that Ultron rate builds up so quickly still. They did not change that in the previous patch. So coming into it, Speedery pops that ultimate, goes towards the spawn doors before anything is built on the side of GenG, because they were able to get so much charge off of damage, off of the healing that Ultron does. So they're just kind of doing a good job staying alive. Also, Cal is giving the snowflake, so he is never going to be found. Brownie's over to that Iron Man as well. So much damage being on the opposite side for the team of GenG. Let's see if they're able to combo well.
See, this is one of those developments in the meta. Oh, Window going to clean up Brownie there. Great psionic seduction by Kalush. We'll get back to that in a minute as Speedery finds Choppa, and what a hold again. Not overcommitting those ultimates. Still holding on, only using Kalush, and Speedery's already back to Ultron's rage. Are you kidding me? These players are insane. This triple hold is wild to look at. And this is what I was going to say. These new developments in the game, triple is now a thing, right? This is something that was not present in Season 0 and 1, and now we're seeing it far more as we climb through 2 and 3. And now teams are trying to figure out how to counter it, using things like Moon Knight and Iron Man, maybe even Magic from things like Sentinels, just these unique picks that excel against triple Vanguards. And up we go. Ultron's Rage trying to find some value out of Xe. Good escape there. And there is, oh, the Maximum Pulse does not collect. And that, again, is good for Envy, who are staying strong here on the high side. Through the ultimate. Do they find value? Looking very close, getting walled in. And Window gonna have to walk back. It's looking now towards their favor as the dance floors around. Psionic Seduction to follow up, and that is a lot of damage. Damage boosted Psionic is gonna hit the backline as Speedery goes down. And nice return by GenG.
Yeah, they're coming back though on that side. Detroit went down to Cal, and they come back with Psionic Seduction. I mean, they were able to kind of come through. Even though Speedery goes down, he'll be able to fly back. More eliminations found Shib as this first point hold's going on, man. Still, you would think a team like GenG, who has a lot of experienced players, would not get spawn held like this. But we are 3 minutes off the clock, man.
Are you kidding me? And that is an example, again, of value down to 1 minute here for the side of GenG. Not even out their door. Envy looking incredible. Still going to have the portal play back if need be. And that's why they kept the Strange. Such a big brain play. This is blowing my mind. Window getting ready with that strangling prison. The hold coming in. Does Groot say we are Groot together? Guess not yet. As we do see out goes the final. Ooh, Nero going to find Brownie. Xe on a Kalush, traded evenly. We are going to have a number down on the Vanguard side for NB. GenG going to find another as Xe takes out Window. 2 Vanguards down. The teleport may come through here. Yes, Kalush making that switch as predicted. Choppa onto Cal. And finally, GenG are getting out the door with 25 seconds on the clock.
I mean, job done. I think right now for Envy, we'll see if they can keep it up. Obviously, they still have a while to go in terms of getting that hold. Teleport comes through from Kalush. This is why they protected that Doctor Strange. And Right now we're in the second phase of the map, or second part of the first phase of the map, where we're already 10 seconds left to go. 2 professional teams, by the way, and one of them's getting potentially spawn camped. We'll see how GenG does here.
And that is going to be a Q fest as we see Speedery immediately launching that rage. Does not get value, and that is good position there by GenG. Way to hold on there. Even being down an ultimate charge. Out goes the Strangling Prison. It's huge. Do they find value? Oh, no! He got frozen too! What just happened? I think he got turned. He got frozen. I don't know. He was trying to turn back, I believe, and fake them. But no, it didn't even need to happen. As we see Kalu, Speedery on a Choppa. Will they end this now? Nero on the Snake. What a hold here for Envy. Overtime ticking down slowly. The dance floor is being forced out. Will they be able to get back to the point in time through the wall soon? Gets tackled away by Cal, and they are held at point 1.
I mean, what a shock. An absolute insane performance by the side of Envy, and they looked like a well-oiled machine. That was not map 1. It was not as close as you would think it would be on that round at all in this map. I mean, Envy just looked disgusting. By the way, they are now up a single map, and this potentially could close it out. That could send GenG into the loser brackets already this early in the tournament, man. And I like their adjustments, right? Just to talk about it a little bit. They, instead of having Nero on Ultron like they did in our North American stage 1, got Speedily on that Ultron. And we talked about how good that guy is on flyers. And it's not that Nero can't play flyers and stuff. It's just that I like that adjustment. It makes so much sense. And I think that you're seeing Cal as well over to the Captain America, sort of being that flexible player, picking up more heroes. I like this adjustment from Team Envy and Coach Gator to make those changes coming into such a big stage like this.
Yeah,
it's huge.
I think that is the strategy they've been running is when they're running triple, they have Speedery running that Ultron, and they're not afraid to pull Nero out when they're going back to a more traditional composition. I mean, we saw Cal smiling there, but everyone else has been locked on the side of Envy. They know the job's not done, and you look over here at GenG, who they want this. They want to hold on. They've got to get real creative now, though. Things are dicey at best with that early hold.
Guys,
Envy, wow.
And GenG is not a bad team.
No, they're insane.
Yeah, and maybe that goes to show the Strimbucks are adding up, and Shib is going to look like a giga genius when Envy wins this whole tournament, potentially. Obviously, there's a lot of good teams still ready to go, and I think we cannot talk about how it's crazy that Envy is even in the play-in stage, considering everything we've heard behind the scenes.
Yeah.
We'll see how things play out, but, man, I would feel so demotivated right now if I was GenG.
Dude, Speedery's damage right now is so insane. Just walking in, keeping the damage boost on everyone. Notice the low level of play. You can see, obviously, the aura, for those who maybe don't know, of where the damage boost stays into effect, but they're using it to their advantage as down goes Choppa, cannot be out-healed even through positioning, and already Envy are walking them back on a map that was chosen by GenG. What a set of plays here from the side of Envy as they do find 2, and they are going to force teleport here right back from Choppa.
They're done. They're done. Nothing else to talk about here, Shib. Honestly. I mean, you have actually Rez himself. They come through the backside. They're on triple strategist.
Oh, my
Points about to be capped, too. 1 meter left to go. Nobody's there.
They just portaled off the door, I think.
And they portal off the door. You're right. I barely even noticed that towards the end. Kaluge, nail in the coffin. Envy win.
That was insane. I mean,
we're speechless.
Yeah, that's wild. Envy just looked lights out. I mean, that was the most flawless victory I have seen in Rivals in a long time.
Yes.
It's that simple.
I mean, we always see first point holds kind of come through later on, maybe.
Sure.
That was 5, 6 fight wins in the spawn door.
Yeah, exactly. And against a team of this caliber. I mean, you talk about how good GenG is. You guys don't understand how strong they are of a team. Like, they just did that against GenG.
I can't. I want to see the memes, the copy pastas after that. You know, we had like things like the catch my boy Speedery in the spawn door running triple. Or something like that. I don't know. Maybe there's probably some creative stuff happening right now in the chat room because
the Choppa dance.
The Choppa dance. Yeah.
Somebody clip it.
Somebody clip it. But I mean, that was insane. The performance by Team NV to go into the next round, one more series away from going to the main stage and getting out of these play-ins, because it seems like that team shouldn't even be here into the play-ins at this point.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about how strong they are as a team. We talk about how there was conversation of them being potentially the best in that region, but, you know, they weren't, right? It's that simple. Who got the job done in that moment? You know, that was Sentinels. It was not them, and they got pushed down to third, and they're in the play-in stages, but that looked like the team we expected them to be. They are known to be threatening, and they're not afraid to pull out unique comps. I do think the triple-triple like that on certain maps is incredibly impactful, and they do it flawlessly. And also, Strange lock-in on Yggdrasil is big brain. The lockouts on spawns, the retake from triple is so smart, and that's the kind of level of playing that you don't really think about until you watch them, right? So now we all know that. I'm not saying that'll happen in ladder because you do need to coordinate, and you're going to have one tricks on your team. You're going to have the Spider-Man, I promise. But, you know, as a team, that was such a smart save.
That was absolutely a smart take. And, you know, we'll see on stage when the interview comes through. I'm curious who we're even going to interview, who Cozy's going to interview with our lovely translator on the stage in just a bit. But, man, that was pure dominance from the region, and I was wrong in my prediction. And as per usual, Shib was right. So for GenG, maybe not as well. They're a good team like we talked about before. I mean, maybe I'm coping over here, but you know what? I'll say this for later on. Maybe I should save it for the predictions for Nova and Rad when that comes up later.
Game as well.
So I'll probably save this discussion for later when that comes up. But man, that was dominant by Envy. I mean, what can you really say when a performance is that dominant? What was is there even a takeaway we can have besides Envy looks damn good?
I think, and I'm not sure because you know, we're still trying to learn more about these teams across the world. I almost said the region, but no, we're at the world stage at this point. GenG, I'm not sure if they're comfortable with triple. I'm not sure if that's what they're used to doing, but they had no other option. They had, you know, they typically run 2-1-3. They have done triple before in the past, but nowhere near as consistently, at least from my understanding, as the side of Envy. So forcing them into it, you know, already puts them in a down mental state, and that's very important. It's a mental game as well.
That's a good point. It's a very North American thing to go for the spawn hold on triple Vanguard, triple Strategist. I mean, it feels so good, honestly, just to like spawn camp somebody for 4 minutes. That doesn't even, in Marvel Rivals specifically, that doesn't happen, chat. What we saw, I don't know why I just called chat.
They're chat.
Or chat's there.
It hits.
Basically, that never happens though, right? I don't think we've ever seen a team hold that long on triple strat. Like they usually portal back, like we saw later on. But man, that was insane how strong they were for so long, and that was probably a testament to how good they are, but also how GenG, just like you said, I don't know that you already touched on it. They just didn't have an answer.
Yeah, I think there's an argument to where you ban Strange on certain maps. I think there's an argument for banning Strange on Yggdrasil, especially when you have Kaluj, right, who is that good on Strange if need be. And I do think there's an argument, and there's probably more if I can think about it, but I'm doing this off the top of my head, something like Central Park, where you almost guarantee another fight there off that spawn door. It almost happens every time as long as somebody's willing to switch. Please do that if you're in ladder. You guarantee another fight on that first point. So I think there is an argument where that ban makes a ton of sense on those maps.
That's a good point. Yeah, it's because, well, I mean, also to add on to it maybe a little bit, just like, the fact that if you're getting rid of that's a tangible thing you're getting rid of, right? That's the biggest thing that you pointed out. It's you're going to get rid of the portal teleporter stuff. You're going to get rid of spawn camps or spawn blocks. The door portal buff, that collusion that you called out.
I couldn't even tell if that was collusion. I'm looking for.
It was 100%.
It was okay. I didn't know if it was their portal back that they accidentally.
No, there's no way. That'd be the dumbest thing you could probably do. I would hope so. Not to be too mean, obviously, but that would be crazy if they did that. I mean, I've done some stupid stuff as well whenever I play Doctor Strange, and because as somebody that's a duelist player, you're coming back to the point on Doctor Strange, you use it halfway through to retouch the point on domination. Your teammates are like, why did you do that? Why did you waste our portal? You're one of 6 players, and you changed Doctor Strange to help touch the point. You should have saved it when we had to touch last second.
Yeah, and it was likely a smart play by Kaluj to reset up and essentially lock them into that building, forcing them to have to walk around, and then getting ready for your second portal to try to throw it in front. And honestly, that could have happened as well.
And he's a veteran, too. That's why Kaluj is thinking on the fly like that.
I love it so much. As we look here at the stat lines, once again, I mean, the entirety of the team looking fluid across the board. You see Speeder Nero with 4 finals there. Well played. Month obviously looking really good on the healing front. Most here in the lobby, and then you gotta show love to Window on the Groot. I love seeing Groot get back here in the meta.
Absolutely, it's great, and as well with no Wolverine out there. Is interesting. You know, I think GenG maybe struggles in the Wolverine department. We saw that he got, I mean, not XG didn't get diffed per se, but in terms of how the team played around a Speedery on Wolverine, that looked clean. So I don't know, they didn't even ban Wolverine, right? So that wasn't even banned, and they didn't play it against Groot. Like, why are you not playing Wolverine against triple Vanguard, triple Strategist? Obviously, we don't want to be too mean too early on in the tournament, but that's just crazy to me that you're not playing Wolverine against Window, who is an easy MVP, right? We saw the damage done by him, and then also blocked in, you know, the blocking off the other side of Zune, trying to run away from him and stuff. He did so much, but regardless, it was interesting that their answers were just not good from the side of GenG, unfortunately. Like the fact that you played Moon Knight, I get it and stuff, but when we saw the side of Envy, how strong their Vanguards were, how it was so hard to dislodge the back line, they did so many things right, and I just think that it was a perfect play from them in general. Like we saw, if we go back to it, Shib, just to kind of look back at the highlights, the reason why they could never get things done is because they just don't have enough damage to kind of break through this frontline Vanguard combination. Cal is constantly on the back line, so they don't get a lot of healing from the Torian Snake because Cal has the Snowflake on him, so he's never going to be in danger. And then on top of that, on the front line, they don't have to worry about their Vanguards too much because they can always wall themselves off. So, you know, I know I'm talking a bit too much here, Shib, but like, regardless, I think that it was just so clean by the backline to stay alive, and I think the strategists, people talk about how good Nero is, people talk about how good Month is. They are probably the best, one of the best Vanguard duos in North American region. People talk about how insane they are. People talk about how good Kuroba and Aramori are.
Yeah.
So,
a lot of good duos,
absolutely, and I think the difficult aspect is GenG's answers were just not good, right? We saw Xe find eliminations eventually with the entirety of his ultimate, but regardless, I don't know, it just doesn't make sense to play something with damage boost. Obviously get rid of the Mantis, but maybe you can't play the Storm. Maybe you can't play those heroes. I don't think their answers were it. I mean, yeah, we didn't even see a single good ultimate out of Brownie.
Yeah, that freeze was insane. I'm not sure what happened there with the angle. Sometimes with Iron Man, you try to trick the system a little bit and get, and start spinning just to try to take eyes away.
Those shields.
So, you know, try to twist a little bit. It could have been a shield up there, but that freeze the last second was great too. Allowed for the follow-up pick. Speedery right here.
This is what they should have done.
Yeah, this is so good, so smart. Play low, use that damage to your advantage. Maybe pull out the Wolverine, maybe even the Fist, who does great into these Vanguards, and that you know, they're going to see some buffs and some changes here coming up in these new patches. And we recently talked about Groot going to get a little bit of a change and buff coming up here soon, so we'll see him in the meta with a new wall as well. A lot to talk about there, but we'll get into that as the week progresses.
And there's so many things to talk about here, Shib. I mean, the fact they subbed out Fun,
yeah,
to
that
put
is interesting. Yeah,
absolutely interesting as well. And you know, there's a lot to learn, I think, from this series. From this, like a team as good as Envy is theoretically, this is better than or more important than other teams right now is to just take away the fact that we just lost to a good team, reset, and just go into the next game like, okay, we need to figure out what to play against it. And it's okay to copy people, right? I know that a lot of talent and analysts will be like, why didn't you do this? Why didn't they just swap to this and whatever?
Yeah.
And, you know, like, sometimes, and people will be like, oh, you know, in other games, for example, people are like, oh my God, if you're not good at this composition, why are the pro players playing it?
Yeah.
But realistically, it's because that is what you have to do no matter what, or you lose.
It's the answer.
Yeah, and you don't have a lot of time to practice against the other teams. You only have like a week or whatever to fully prepare. Sometimes it's okay to copy.
Sure.
Like, I think that GenG copying what Envy did on their attack, running over to the Storm, practicing that sort of stuff, that's fine. They could just copy that, pull it on over, save a lot of that mental pressure, because in this game, more than others, it feels so hard to adapt on the fly and use that brain to think of different things to do, because sometimes it's okay to just copy and save yourself that energy.
Yes.
And that, like, to
the mental.
theory
You don't need. Yeah, you don't need to use your brain if you can just essentially, you know, you're hitting Control V, right? Like, you're just copying that composition, running it right back. It found value. It worked. You know, the Moon Knight was played there for a little bit to try to get out the door, and it wasn't as successful. The Iron Man wasn't really working. And that's no disdain towards the players, right? The players are obviously at the top of those heroes. I'm sure some people at home are saying, "Oh, I would have played Moon Knight differently." You wouldn't have. No disrespect. These players are insane on these heroes, but you're right. When it gets to this level of play, it's about finding the answer. I think Rivals does a good job of adding a lot of new heroes that you know, that maybe provide more answers, and you still don't necessarily have always the solution, because things are constantly changing. So it's very much a cerebral game. It's about understanding and working as a team to try to find different ways out of the door. So that was their solution. It had worked for them in the past. It just didn't work today.
Yep. And on that, right, that doesn't send GenG home. They're still here.
Yeah.
GenG are going down the loser brackets in the play-in stage of this tournament later on today. So that means they have to play again. That means Envy is going to get a rest, I believe. Well, no, they're resting until later when they have to play again in that third match or the last match of the day? I believe it's the third match or fourth match.
Yeah.
One of the two. We'll see them
at some point.
Yeah, we'll have the bracket up later on, and we'll see Envy later on. But that puts them one step closer towards that main stage, which they are absolutely confident. We were talking to Gator in the hotel lobby when we were eating breakfast. He's like so confident, man. I mean, obviously, everybody wants to beat Envy because of it. When they come across as a team that is as you know, we're gonna win as possible. If you're walking around the lobbies like we're just that guy, we're just them. It kind of triggers some people. So it gets the nerves kind of prodded at, you know?
Yeah, I think you need a level of confidence. I've always said if you're a duelist player or, you know, a player in Rivals, you need to believe you can do it. I think if you're playing on your heels ever, you're going to make mistakes. And if you're afraid to try to make a more risky play for some value for a pick or something, if you're consistently doing that, you're not pursuing the full value of your hero. I think you need to have that confidence. I truly do believe that. But we will be moving forward to a second matchup coming up. That's going to be crazy, man, as we go over towards Nova and Red. That is a wild matchup. That
was the longest BO3 I think I've been a part of, just because it was so much fun to watch them on stage as we get set up. I believe it's going to be Kaluj. I can just like look over there real quick, just give it a little bit of a check. Yeah, Kaluj will be on the stage with Cozy and our translator, man, so we get to talk to them. And maybe even have some special guests. There's some stuff happening behind the scenes right now, and I'm just excited for it.
Yeah, I can't wait. I mean, I'm curious on his take on his thought processes throughout the Vanguard play, right? Saw some huge play from him. We saw, topping the charts of the KOs in terms of final hits, which is, it's great as a Vanguard to be able to do that. If you're able to collapse and ensure you get value out of every ult, Meteor M's or your eyes or whatever, Strangler Prisons, that's everything. Obviously, ults are very important in this game. But, it's more so about them as a unit cleaning up those KOs.
Yeah. And that, to me, I think the most surprising thing of that series is just how dominant Envy was versus a team like GenG who have veterans on their team. The Korean talent on the team as well are so good. And I don't want to, talk about them too much, but, man, Chip, we're going to the main stage in a second here with Kaluj, I believe, like you said.
Yeah, I'm excited. Let's toss it over there whenever they are ready to talk.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Are we still talking, Chip?
Hey guys, welcome back. We've got Envy taking down GenG 2-0, and I'm joined by the one and only Kaluj. My man, congratulations. Let's start with the obvious. First land, first dub. How you feeling?
Feels great playing in front of a crowd again. First time on this game. It's good to see a lot of new faces and hear the crowd when, things go good for us. But when they go bad, I don't really like the crowd as much. So.
Well, I know you guys are an experienced team, and a lot of y'all, and this is setting history. It's the first land for Rivals, so I know you may be confident. How is the team feeling, though, overall coming into this?
We got some new guys. I think they're nervous. They didn't really seem nervous on stage, but we got people that played on stage before, so it's kind of just like another day, like another match, whatever.
Yeah, awesome. I can confirm, by the way, Kaluj, bigger in person, man. I mean, I got to tell you. Looking at the band phase against GenG, it feels like you had them figured out pretty well, and this is your first time going up against, the Asia region with the bands. How did that differ, and how did that work out?
Well, Asia has like a specific style. They play Mantis more, and they like playing Torch, so get rid of those two characters, and they kind of just fall over. Pretty easy.
Love the answer. And finally, I want to ask, tell the people that don't know Team Envy, tell them about who is Team Envy?
Team Envy, we're the best team in the world. That's all I got.
Easy, short, and sweet here from Kaluj, but there's going to be more action coming pretty soon, guys. We have an electric matchup with Rad versus Nova Esports up in just a moment. Don't go anywhere. We're going to take a quick break.